You're not confused anymore. You're just no longer demanding answers. There was a time when not knowing felt unbearable, when uncertainty tightened your chest, when silence felt like something you had to fix. Back then, clarity felt urgent because without it, you felt unsettled. But something has shifted. The questions still exist. They just don't control you anymore. And that calm feels unfamiliar because you were taught that intensity was proof something mattered. You may still think about where things stand, but now, the thought doesn't pull you forward. It doesn't demand action. It doesn't disturb your nervous system. There's a difference you're beginning to notice between curiosity and need. You're not chasing certainty. You're noticing stability. And that's new. What if clarity doesn't always arrive as answers, but as the absence of inner pressure? Answers used to promise relief. If you knew what this meant, if you knew where it was going, you believed you could finally relax. But now, something is different. Answers feel optional, not because you don't care, but because your sense of safety no longer depends on them. That's not emotional shutdown. That's regulation. Your system has learned how to stay grounded, even when things remain undefined. This calm doesn't feel forced. You didn't reason your way into it. You didn't numb yourself to get here. It arrived quietly when urgency stopped leading your emotions, and instead of feeling empty, it feels steady. Not dramatic, not euphoric, just solid. Calm is no longer a pause between storms. It's becoming your baseline. When you stop needing answers from others, you begin to trust your own internal signals. Not louder, clearer. You're no longer waiting to be reassured. You're listening differently. This is where autonomy begins, not with certainty, but with steadiness. You don't need everything defined to recognize when something feels aligned. You don't need to decide anything yet. Clarity doesn't always arrive as information. Sometimes it arrives as peace, and peace doesn't ask to be justified. If something no longer disturbs you, that in itself is already an answer. God, I release the need to resolve what no longer unsettles me. I trust the calm that arrived without explanation. I allow it to guide me, gently, quietly, steadily. Amen.